Okay, welcome everyone. We've got some interesting source material here today, and we're ready to dive in.
Definitely. It looks like the focus is squarely on Verasity and this dual chain strategy they're rolling out.
Right. Specifically, how they're shifting their proof-of-view protocol,
Yeah.
the tech that validates real human views, fighting ad fraud, moving that part over to the Tron network.
But, and this is key, they're keeping the tokenomics, the whole structure around their VRA token, still anchored on Ethereum.
Exactly. So our mission today really is to unpack why. Why this hybrid approach? How does using Tron and Ethereum supposedly help the whole ecosystem?
And specifically, how does it help keep the tokens scarce? And what does it signal, bigger picture for where Verasity is headed?
We should probably quickly touch on proof-of-view itself. The sources mentioned it's been successful in verifying that real people are watching ads or content.
Yeah, which is a huge deal for advertisers, obviously. But the problem they ran into, it seems, was scale, needing better plumbing to handle massive volume.
Which leads us straight into the first big question. Why Tron? And I guess, why make this shift right now?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't just pulling a name out of a hat. The sources lay out some pretty specific reasons for choosing Tron to scale up that POV protocol.
It seems like Tron offers some technical advantages that are just a really good fit for what POV needs to do, right? Like lots of small transactions.
Absolutely. The first big one is just raw speed, high throughput. Tron can apparently handle thousands of transactions every second.
Okay, yeah. If you're verifying like millions of ad views or giving out tiny rewards for esports, you need that kind of capacity.
You really do. Ethereum's main layer, well, it can get congested and slow sometimes.
Yeah, we've all felt that with gas fees.
And that's the second point, low fees. This is critical. If you earn like a fraction of a cent for watching an ad, you can't have the transaction fee cost more than the reward itself.
Right. Tron's low fees make those tiny microtransactions actually feasible. Otherwise, it just doesn't work economically.
Exactly. So you've got the high speed, the low cost. That's a strong foundation if you want lots of people using this verification layer.
Makes sense. Was there anything else about Tron that made it particularly suitable, beyond just the tech specs?
Yeah, the sources also talk about Tron's strong ecosystem. Apparently, it's always been kind of geared towards entertainment, streaming, content, dApps, decentralized apps.
Okay, so it aligns well with Veracity's focus areas, video gaming, advertising.
Precisely. It means they're plugging into a network where there are already relevant projects, tools, maybe potential partners. It's not just about the speed, it's about fitting into the neighborhood, so to speak.
So it's a strategic fit, not just a technical one. Easier integration, maybe tapping into an existing user base.
That seems to be the idea. It positions the POV tech within a relevant landscape.
Okay, that definitely clears up the why Tron angle. So now let's talk about the actual impact. What does moving POV onto Tron actually do for the Verasity ecosystem day to day?
Right. Thinking about the practical side, how users and businesses experience it. This shift enables some pretty big changes.
Like, what's the immediate difference someone using it would notice?
Well, the sources point to real-time scaling. Because Tron is fast and cheap, validating an ad view or sending out a reward can happen almost instantly. Super cheap, too.
Compared to potentially waiting minutes or paying higher fees on other networks, that immediacy must be crucial for things like ad campaigns.
Absolutely. And it feeds into creating a much more seamless user experience. If you're a gamer getting rewards or a viewer earning a token, or even an advertiser paying for views.
You just want it to work smoothly, without high fees or long waits getting in the way.
Exactly. It removes those friction points you sometimes hit on, say, Ethereum's base layer. Makes the whole interaction feel more fluid, more natural.
And does moving the POV engine to Tron open up new possibilities too, beyond just making current things better?
Oh, definitely. The sources highlight new utility pathways. Essentially, any app or platform that's already built on Tron can now integrate Veracity's proof-of-view tech much more easily.
So it's like building an on-ramp. It could bring POV into totally new games, video platforms, maybe even DeFi stuff happening on Tron.
That's the potential, yes. It expands the reach significantly. They're not just optimizing what they already do, they're building bridges to connect with other projects and users already active in the Tron world.
So scale the core tech where it runs best and use that efficiency to reach new places.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Precisely. Optimize the high-volume stuff on the network bid for it and leverage that to grow adoption.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because even with all this activity moving to Tron for the POV part, Ethereum isn't going away.
Not at all. The sources are really clear on this. Ethereum remains absolutely central, especially for what they call the deflationary engine tied to the VRA token.
Right, this is the hybrid part. Tron handles the speed and volume for verification.
But Ethereum provides the foundation for the actual tokenomics, the value mechanisms for VRA.
And the main mechanism there, according to the material, is the token burn.
That's the one, the deflationary burn mechanism. It lives on Ethereum. The way it's described is a percentage of VRA used in Veracity's products gets sent to a specific burn address.
So like if an advertiser spends VRA or someone receives staking rewards, a bit of that VRA gets zapped.
Essentially, yes. It's sent to an address where it can never be accessed again, irrevocably destroyed.
And that means it's permanently removed from the total supply of VRA circulating on Ethereum.
Correct. It directly shrinks the available pool of tokens over time.
Okay, I think I see the connection now. So the activity happening over on Tron, the ad views, the rewards, all that scalable stuff.
All that increased usage and adoption on Tron.
It drives the use of VRA, and that use triggers the burn mechanism back on Ethereum.
Exactly. That's the loop. More utility happening fast and cheap on Tron leads directly to more tokens being permanently removed on Ethereum.
So Tron brings the activity, and Ethereum captures the value through scarcity.
That's precisely how the sources frame it. There's a line like, Tron brings the speed, Ethereum maintains the scarcity. They call it a perfect hybrid.
Getting the best of both worlds? Kind of. Operational efficiency on one chain, strong value mechanics on the other.
It's about separating those functions to optimize both, capture the value generated by all that high-speed activity.
Makes a lot of sense strategically. Okay, let's tie this back to the original problem Verasity tackles. Proof of view, fighting ad fraud, building trust. How does moving POV to Tron actually make it better at doing that?
Well, the core goal of POV is guaranteeing real human views, right? Combating ad fraud. Moving to Tron, it doesn't just make it faster. The sources argue it actually enhances its ability to build trust.
How does the network choice translate into more trust? Seems indirect.
It's mainly through speed and cost, actually. The faster validation on Tron means advertisers get quicker confirmation that views are legit. That rapid feedback loop builds confidence that the system works reliably at scale.
Okay, faster results, more trust. And the cost factor, that must be huge for businesses considering using it.
Absolutely. Lower transaction costs make it way more attractive for advertisers and publishers to actually adopt the system. If integrating POV is cheap and efficient, more companies will likely use it.
It removes a big barrier to entry, basically.
Exactly. And the sources also mentioned smart contracts on Tron play a role here too. They allow for automated proof delivery right on the blockchain.
Meaning you don't need some third party confirming things. It's just there on the ledger.
Right. It cuts out intermediaries, which increases transparency and trust for everyone involved. The advertiser sees the proof recorded immutably on-chain. It's verifiable.
So you end up with verification that's faster, cheaper, more transparent, all baked into the network itself.
Pretty much. And importantly, as more advertisers adopt this efficient, trustworthy POV system on Tron,
it generates more real-world use, more transactions.
Which drives demand for VRA and feeds right back into that deflationary burn happening over on Ethereum. It all connects.
Okay, this paints a really clear picture of the whole strategy. Let's bring it home for the listener. If you're holding VRA tokens, what does all this actually mean for you?
Yeah, good question. The sources emphasize this isn't about splitting the token or making it less valuable. It's positioned as an expansion. The goal is to boost VRA's overall utility and, by extension, its value proposition.
So how does this Tron Ethereum hybrid setup deliver benefits for holders? Walk us through that again.
Okay, so it flows like this. More on-chain activity on Tron, because it's fast and cheap, leads to more VRA being used in ads, rewards, etc.
Right.
That increased usage directly results in more burns happening on Ethereum, reducing supply. So activity drives scarcity.
Got it. Utility on Tron fuels scarcity on Ethereum. What else?
Well, the increased adoption on Tron by advertisers and platforms likely means more rewards distributed across the ecosystem for viewing content, playing games, whatever.
Okay.
And more rewards being distributed often leads to more staking demand for VRA as people lock up their tokens to earn yield.
So adoption drives usage, which drives the burn, and it also potentially drives more demand for staking.
Exactly. The hybrid chain strategy is what makes this possible. Using Ethereum for its security and tokenomics, the scarcity part, and using Tron for its scalability, the high-volume, low-cost utility part.
It positions VRA to benefit from growth happening across both networks, driven by different strengths.
That's the idea. And the bigger picture, the vision laid out, is that as proof of view becomes more widespread, potentially an industry standard thanks to this scalability,
then VRA becomes the core token underpinning that whole verification and value system.
right, the utility and the controlled scarcity work together to support that potential role.
Okay, this has been a really thorough look at this. Great stuff.
So wrapping up this deep dive, I think the main takeaway is Verasity is making a calculated move to scale smart. They're using Tron for its speed and low cost to handle the heavy lifting of proof of view.
Which enables real-time use, broader adoption. But crucially, they keep Ethereum for security and that deflationary burn. So activity on Tron fuels scarcity back on Ethereum.
It's that dual approach, aiming for both widespread utility and value capture for the token. The sources even flag that this migration is happening, like, right now in the final stages, so it's timely.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about the bigger implications. I mean, what happens to industries like advertising or gaming when verifying engagement becomes automatic, cheap, and provable across different blockchains?
And maybe for you listening, it prompts the question. What does a system look like where value is tied directly to proven attention, to verifiable engagement?
Right.
Or how might that shift our whole view of online interactions in the digital economy? Moving beyond just consuming towards participating in value creation through verified attention.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for unpacking all that.
My pleasure.